A few weeks back, my friend Zeno and I rode our bikes on some beach sand in the Rockaways, and in this video, I'll tell you what we learned. This was a sort of diagnostic trip, because Zeno had just put together a new bike capable of handling some looser terrain to bring on the Baja Divide. It was the Jones LWB V3 with 29 by 3 inch tires and the iconic Jones H-bar. I didn't want to be left behind, so I brought my most off-road capable bike, which is my charge cooker. It has 27.5 by 2.3 inch tires, but with the extra wide rims, they are the widest riding tires I have. It makes sense to build a bike around a bigger tire to actually enjoy riding the sort of rougher terrain typical of Baja. A few years ago, I rode a bit of the coastal route in southern Baja with my friend Bobby, and it was indeed a difficult place to ride. We both rented mountain bikes with 2.1 inch tires, but we still spent the whole trip riding slowly in our lowest gear. On many occasions, we descended down a small hill, only to find super dry, loose sand at the bottom, which sapped all of our momentum. Check out my Baja trip video for more details on riding out there. I also just posted a video about a more recent trip to Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, which has lots of footage of me riding in some of the more interesting remote parts of Mexico. Check that video out as well if you want to see more. Back in Brooklyn, we rode down the bike path along the belt to the Marine Parkway Bridge, which is also known as the Gil Hodges. On the other side, we rode west towards Breezy Point. The first thing we learned is that they're pretty strict about their property rights around here. There is a small beach, which we believed was private, but there wasn't any gate or signage, so we didn't think they would mind us taking a quick peek and a few photos. Sure enough, within about 5 minutes, a security guard was escorting us out while referring to us as trespassers on his walkie-talkie. The reason I wanted to check this beach out in the first place is because I had actually been there once many years ago, but that time it was perfectly legal. New York State, along with most states in the US, subscribes to the public trust doctrine, which states among other things that the seashore is public and cannot be privatized. When I came here last time, it was from a boat, and we briefly swam to shore, checked out the views of the lighthouse and the city skyline, and left. The public trust doctrine only applies to the actual shoreline, which is roughly the part of the beach that the water touches, so the dry areas and any facilities on land are still private and would be off limits. On this occasion, though, we were definitely not following the rules, so we politely got back on our bikes and rode on. Our destination was the tip of Breezy Point, the part of the city that sticks out furthest into the ocean. The path to the beach at Breezy Point was your typical dry beach sand, and we both deflated our tires a little bit and attempted to ride it. The second thing we learned was that riding on sand is possible with wider tires at lower pressures, but still not exactly a picnic. We were able to maintain our traction at least part of the time, but it still cost us a lot of energy, and I can't say we were doing much better than just pushing the bikes. This area, along with many parts of the Rockaways, Jamaica Bay, the Staten Island coast, and even parts of northern Jersey, are part of the Gateway National Recreation Area, which is part of the federal national park system. I've been to Reese Beach and Fort Tilden on plenty of occasions, but never found the time to check out this remote part of the Rockaways. There was a long, rocky jetty at the end with only a few people fishing and sunbathing. There were some nice views of Brooklyn beaches and the New York City skyline in the distance. Many different shorebirds were nesting and hanging out here. The third thing I learned was that seagulls sometimes eat sharks. We decided to ride the wet sand at the beach to get back to the road to go home. The fourth and last thing we learned is that riding wet sand with wider tires at lower pressure is very comfortable and nice. We were cruising on it like it was pavement. I've actually ridden something similar before, with even narrower tires, in a park a little ways outside of Lisbon in Portugal. I wasn't sure if it was just a very thin layer of sand above some kind of firm ground because we weren't on the coast, but it was wet because it did rain recently. In reality, I think the sand being wet was what helped most with the traction. At the beach, I noticed it got a lot mushier closer to the water or closer to the dry sand, but right in the middle was just about right. At the end of the day, I stopped by Coney Island to take some photos in the late day sun. That's it for this video, but I did make a few others about the charge cooker, including a video about how to get fork packs onto it, despite having no mounts on the fork. Leave a comment if you've done any sand riding, and thanks for watching.